Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. It is Tuesday, November 18th, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here are tonight's top stories.
Tonight, with Ferguson on edge, awaiting a grand jury verdict, a cop tells residents, "Get a gun. We can't protect you." And insurance companies, supposed opponents of government regulation, come out of the closet as the ones who want and benefit the most from Obamacare. All that and more on tonight's INFOWARS Nightly News.
Well, the world is watching and waiting for the grand jury decision to be handed down and whether or not Darren Wilson will be charged in the killing of Michael Brown. But the FBI is already warning that it's highly likely that the result is going to lead to extremist violence. Now, in a bulletin, the FBI warned that armed extremist protesters may use these protests as an excuse to attack law enforcement, while hacktivist groups like Anonymous could use it as an excuse to launch cyber attacks on authorities. Now, much like Anonymous has already hacked into the main Twitter account of the KKK. Now, the agency warned that the extremists could be carrying bladed weapons or firearms, be equipped with tactical gear, gas masks, or bulletproof vests. The bulletin also says that there have already been threats against law enforcement, including a message last week by a black separatist group offering a $5,000 bounty for Wilson's location. So there's all sorts of racial tension going on there in Ferguson. Jakari Jackson reported today that some of the supporters of Darren Wilson are going to be paying for a billboard that says "Pants up, don't loot." So there is just all sorts of racial tensions flaring there in Ferguson, getting people away from what the issue is, which is standing up to police abuse and, making sure that people who are unarmed are not shot and killed. The police in this country should not be the judge, jury, and executioner. Now, in addition to all of this, we're reporting some alarming online chatter between Ferguson's cops and their supporters. This is ahead of the grand jury verdict. Users of a police forum are claiming that police will be powerless to protect the public. And one cop is even saying, if you do not have a gun, get one and get one soon. Now, the Missouri's governor has reactivated the National Guard. He's declared a state of emergency in an effort to avoid more unrest. But when he was prompted by reporters, Nixon was unable to say where the buck stopped. He didn't really say who is going to be in charge of handling the protests, controlling the protests. Now, peaceful demonstrations are, of course, being held all over St. Louis at the time, and some local leaders there are expressing frustration over Nixon's state of emergency declaration. St. Louis Alderman Antonio French said on Twitter that the National Guard is called in when policing has failed, and that military presence in my city will mark a historic failure on the part of government. This is not a war. There is no military solution. So this is what's really upsetting to me, because we have a lot of people who really are peacefully protesting there, and now we've got a lot of racial violence. Racial tension is getting incited to prompt these calls for violence and things like that. They're preparing for war. So this is absolutely insane. We do have Jakari Jackson there and Joe Biggs reporting live. They'll be Ustreaming. They'll be on the scene with any updates when this decision is handed down. Now, there are also rumors swirling of executive amnesty. It's going to be happening any day now, probably sometime this month. And with this, Texas ranchers are reporting a surge in illegal immigration there along the border. Rancher and Texas Border Volunteers co-founder Dr. Mike Vickers says that he's noticed more trash along footpaths and has even run across people seeking help. Vickers told a news station, he said, "We had two groups Sunday. 7 of them gave up to me. They were from Honduras and El Salvador." And Vickers says he's also witnessed an uptick in empty water bottles along paths around his and other properties. And he says it's a sign that smuggling routes are being increasingly traversed. Now, the spike was also predicted last month when Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson hinted that the influx could grow again this winter. So, of course, anytime Obama opens his mouth and says that he's going to be granting amnesty, we're going to be seeing a spike in people coming across the border. Now, Judge Andrew Napolitano said that Obama's executive amnesty would be playing with constitutional fire, basically saying it's illegal. Napolitano said that when he suspends deportations and when he imposes his own conditions on those suspensions, he is effectively rewriting the law. That violates his oath to enforce and uphold the law as it's been written. Now, when he says, I will not enforce the law because I don't like it or I'm impatient, that doesn't wash under the Constitution, adding that the president has prosecutorial discretion. He cannot rewrite the law on a whim, which is, of course, what Obama has done over and over again with his pen and his phone. Just rewrites the law however he sees it. But Judge Napolitano is saying that he can suspend some prosecutions because he maybe wants to reallocate resources, but he cannot suspend a statute. Now, he goes on to say Obama's executive amnesty isn't only unconstitutional, but it is costly. And from day one, it's going to open up federal and state benefits to individuals who are still illegal aliens, regardless of the label the president puts on them. So, of course, you know, I do care. I am a humanitarian. I care about people. But how are we going to pay for this? It is unsustainable. This will be thrusting America into a welfare state. Of course, that's the plan. In reality, no Republicans are going to impeach Obama for his power grab because they want that power. They want that power of the dictatorship when they think they are going to be the president. So now we've been saying this from the very beginning. Obamacare is just the beginning of economic fascism. It's the largest transfer of wealth and power to the insurance companies, who, of course, are just part and parcel to the banks. Now, last year, insurance companies were kind of putting it out there that they were really against Obamacare, saying they're against the Affordable Care Act. It would harm business. The government is just too big and it would muck it up. Meanwhile, they're writing the rules with Gruber. First, via Romney Care, and then, of course, finalized as Obamacare. Now, the New York Times reports that the healthcare law recasts insurers as Obama allies. Now, President Obama is depending more than ever on the insurance companies that 5 years ago he accused of padding profits and canceling coverage for the sick. Those insurers have long viewed the government as an unreliable business partner that imposes fees and regulations and taxes. Well, now, with the passage of the Affordable Care Act, the relationship between the Obama administration and insurers has evolved into a powerful, mutually beneficial partnership that has been a boon to the nation's largest private health plans and led to a profitable surge in their Medicaid enrollment. Of course, tens of billions of dollars flow from the federal treasury to insurers' hands each year. So, of course, they're loving this. This is great for them. And we're going to see record Medicaid enrollment when we have this executive amnesty being passed. So they're loving this. Now, insurers are saying that they're going to fight against any Republican efforts to dismantle the law. So it's a total change of the tune from last year. But of course, the only Republicans that are going to actually be trying to dismantle this law are the Republicans that haven't gotten the secret handshake and the wink there from their skull and bones crew. Now, you want to remember how President Obama and the Democrats portrayed the Affordable Care Act as a broadside to the insurers and to special interests. Nancy Pelosi actually called the insurers villains. So, of course, this was a way that they felt that they could sell this law to the too stupid Americans. But if you need any further proof, just look at how much money these insurers are making. These villainous insurers are profiting billions every year off of Obamacare. All this law has done has just helped to secure them from any competition. That is economic fascism. Now, as far as distancing themselves from Jonathan Gruber, ex-Obama aide Stephen Ratner demolished the claim that his role was limited. He said the MIT professor was the guru of healthcare. Now, Gruber visited Obama's office as the Democratic Party's most influential healthcare expert, and it was he who sold this idea of the individual mandate, which he helped to develop. Now, the individual mandate, of course, is what forces people to buy insurance or face a penalty. Now, everyone is going to be feeling the effects of this individual mandate come tax season, as it is 1% of your income for anyone who's making more than $9,500 a year. Now, when Gruber's disdain for the American public was caught on video, Obama says that he was just some advisor, and Nancy Pelosi said she denied even knowing him at all, even though she made reference to him repeatedly while she was campaigning for Obama in 2009. You know, she says, oh, I didn't even know him. But this is the power of the internet. Your lies catch up with you. And of course, that's why Congress is repeatedly trying to work on ways to curb the power of the internet. He's really suffering having the Obama of then versus Barack Obama now on the internet. Take a look at this montage, the best of mashup.
People ranging from Robert Gordon to Austin Goolsbee, John Gruber.
I just heard about this. I get well briefed before I come out here. The fact that some advisor who never worked on our staff expressed an opinion that I completely disagree with in terms of the voters is no reflection on the actual process that was run.
I take the Constitution very seriously. The biggest problems that we're facing right now have to do with George Bush trying to bring more and more power into the executive branch and not go through Congress at all. And that's what I intend to reverse when I'm President of the United States of America. Today, I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own, without Congress. And I'm convinced that if we're willing to summon those values today, and if we're willing to choose hope over fear, we gather because we have chosen hope over fear. If we do not move swiftly to sign the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act into law, an economy that is already in crisis will be faced with catastrophe. Millions more Americans will lose their jobs. Homes will be lost. Families will go without health care. Our crippling dependence on foreign oil will continue. That is the price of inaction. I'm in this race to tell the lobbyists in Washington that their days of setting the agenda are over. They have not funded my campaign. They will not work in my White House.
Just this weekend, the New York Times published a list of names, a rather long list of names of people who are working on Obama's transition team or who have accepted jobs in his White House, who are either former lobbyists or who have close ties to lobbyists.
4 years ago, I promised to end the war in Iraq. We did. 4 years ago, I promised to end the war in Iraq. I did.
President, do you have any second thoughts about pulling all ground troops out of Iraq?
You know what I just find interesting is the degree to which this issue keeps on coming up, as if this was my decision.
If only we could put those pre-crime tools to good use and use pre-crime tools for anyone who's going to be running for office, then we wouldn't be getting ourselves in this mess dealing with this liar-in-chief's debacles. Of course, that would be money well spent, unlike these robots that are going to be taking us out to break while the world is on the brink of economic collapse. For whatever reason, we have sword-wielding robots battling each other with deadly precision. For some reason, I guess that's so they'll be better equipped to kill us all. And then stick around because I will be talking with Anthony Freda, who has the only artifact at the 9/11 Museum that actually questions the official narrative.
Introducing the first proprietary oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, OxyPowder, backed by FDA-approved Phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials. All the toxins from the air, the food, the water, ultimately ends up in the gut or affects the gut. Take your health into your own hands and start cleansing your body today with OxyPowder. Secure your OxyPowder today at InfoWarsLife.com.